speaking of Anatar, he is now peppering Celebrimbor with arrows as like a little joke.
Yeah, it's like he's being like he's
He,
using his expertise to shoot him in all the places that would like not kill
that's
him.
right. So he has 4 arrows. We see a 5th arrow go in. So he's torturing. He wants the rings. Uh
And then he says, "Look what you've done to yourself."
oh yeah. So again,
Time to gaslight.
no, again, I like that. I like the dialogue. I the dialogue has shifted dramatically from season to season. So I am hopeful even in season 3 it gets even better. I like the dialogue. I love that. Look what you've done to yourself. And he's got like this like almost like worried expression, like how like oh no, you poor thing. The conversation here is pretty good. My problem is what happens when we get to the point. So they have a back and forth. He wants the rings. Celebrimbor is saying, I'm not gonna tell you, and I'm gonna die soon, and I'm gonna go to Valinor, and you won't be able to come find me there. In fact, this actually gets to the lore and like religious aspects of the elves that we were talking about. So the way Celebrimbor phrases it is he will be reborn again in Valinor,
Something like that. Yeah.
having died here, despite being the bringer of death and destruction to Middle Earth. He will still get the honor of being reborn in Valinor. So it doesn't seem like there's anything that can possibly stop you from being reborn in Valinor if you want. It is my understanding.
I mean, I do want like maybe not if you're killed with like a Morgul blade and you start
Oh, I
fading
see.
into
Yeah,
shadow.
yeah. But in terms of like just dying from natural causes,
But I actually don't know. I don't know.
mm,
Maybe
I don't
someone.
know either. And this is my like the elves, and I'm fine with the mystery. It's just the elves don't seem to be the elves don't seem to have the same point of view from season to season or episode to episode, because sometimes it's seen as a sad thing that they're there, and other times it's seen as like, oh, I'm gonna go there, and it almost seems like a Viking Valhalla, like a, you know what I mean, like it I don't know how to think about it, because in one aspect elves are immortal anyway, and so as Elrond mistake shows us, the time span and like the many years that you don't see each other doesn't seem to matter that much, and yet Elrond is sad that his dad is in Valinor.
Well, his dad's in the sky or
Oh
something,
yeah, his
isn't
dad's
he?
in the sky. So again, I'm not quite sure what that means. Like what?
So
So
maybe he actually would never see his dad because his dad's not in Valinor.
oh, so maybe his dad was like given an even higher honor of like being a constellation. I
Yeah,
don't.
he's a star or something.
Yeah, interesting. But anyway, back to this moment here. We've got a great bit here. The torturing. Um, uh, Sauron says, "I'm a master of this craft," referring to like torturing and prolonging life. And Celebrimbor has a great line. Your only craft is treachery, and he like spits it out. It's honestly, this actor stepped it up, and I'm sure like behind the scenes, everyone's going like, "Oh damn, we gotta really bring it," because Celebrimbor is going hard this season. Um,
Yeah.
the reason this scene falls apart. So every scene is like so close to being great, and then it falls apart. Celebrimbor, after saying that line, and Anatar / Sauron turns around and walks away a bit. Celebrimbor gets up. He's got 5 arrows in him, and he stands up, and it
Mhm.
looks ridiculous. He's got 5 arrows in him, one in each leg, one in each arm, and then one in his like right shoulder. And he stands up as if like to like, I have to get the last word in. Hear the dying words of Celebrimbor. why can't he say that sitting down? Why does he get up? It's so weird. It looks weird. Like, I imagine if in the final scenes of Boromir, he has 3 arrows in him and he's kneeling down and he's about to get shot. And
See, I don't think he was close to dying though.
so you think he's like completely fine, just in pain?
Yeah, the arrows are like in very strategic spots where he's not dying.
You
Like
know what? I
Sauron knows what he's doing. He's hit like every non-vital body part.
sure. Like you know what? I
Whereas Boromir was dying.
Boromir was dying, so I sympathize with that. I can recognize that, but just from an optics point of view, I think this scene plays out better if Celebrimbor doesn't get up. He gets up and it looks silly. He's got arrows sticking out of him all over the place. It kind of looks like a joke. It looks like a Monty Python sketch at this point. It's like, these are just flesh wounds. I will destroy you, Sauron. No, you're screwed, Celebrimbor. You got arrows all over you. It's not a flesh wound. And this is where he really gets under Sauron's skin. I don't know if I like the prophecy, one alone shall prove your utter ruin, because that's not quite true. But that really gets his goat going. So he then stabs Celebrimbor. Now this is cool. Stabs him and lifts him up in the air. And it's got this really, I don't know if you ever played like Dark Souls or Elden Ring. It has that vibe to it. Like, it's just got this like really dark, like there's a darkness there where he's got like an otherworldly strength to him that doesn't go along with the body. It's very cool looking. I do like this. And then, you know, Lord of the Rings, he calls him the Lord of the Rings, and dies in that moment. But again, why did he have to get up? It was simply to get him to a position where he could stab him and lift him up. I think you could still do it though. I think you literally have him like sitting on the ground or like lying on the ground and have Sauron stab downward and then lift him up and have, if you want the cool imagery like this. Because it is.
I don't know, but maybe him getting up is the only way to antagonize Sauron to the point that he would actually kill him.
I mean, yeah, but now like you also, okay, even if it makes sense, even if you can
Sauron doesn't want to kill.
No, Sauron doesn't want to kill him. This is a mistake. Sauron slips up.
But then he gets antagonized to the point where he just loses his shit.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. So like I sympathize with that, and I agree with you. That might even be what the writers or directors would say. But to me, I'm looking at it visually. It looks kind of silly, and this is a really dark and emotional scene, and you have to take that into consideration. So just I either just don't have the arrows still in him, have him be shot, and then have him take the arrow out each time or something. Like, just don't have him get up covered in arrows. It looks like a costume. Like, it looks fake. I know it's fake. It's a show, but like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't look authentic the way that you would expect something to happen in that moment, because he's getting up and the arrows are in him. Like, they're all dangly. They're dangling off of him. Like, it just looks weird. So I just wish they had thought of that, like, in the editing room even, and just like CGI them out, like just erase them. I know they thought it looked cool on set probably, but when you watch it back, it's over the top. There's 5 arrows in him. Anyway, enough with the arrows. So yeah, Celebrimbor dies in this moment. It's actually quite sad.
So what do you think? So what? I was wondering what is Sauron thinking when Celebrimbor makes this prophecy that one alone will prove his ruin?
Yeah, so I was confused about this.
Is he thinking that it's Nenya, like Galadriel and Nenya are gonna kill him? Nenya is named Galadriel's ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think he's worried about someone taking over. And I chalked it up to him just being upset with the prospect that someone would usurp his domain and either kill him or whatever, and then they would become what he wanted. and there's just like an ego thing. I don't know if he was actually thinking about anyone in particular. The prophecy doesn't even make sense to me because that doesn't happen ever.
But the One Ring is his downfall. He pours his whole life into the One
Oh,
Ring.
I see what you're saying.
And then the One Ring being destroyed means he's destroyed. He's like Voldemort, but
Oh,
there's
you
only
know
one
what? You know what?
Horcrux.
That's actually really good. That's actually really good, and that's pretty good writing there for the dialogue as well. Because you're right. They say one, like the one will destroy you, and you think it's maybe a person. Like I think it's maybe a person, but it's actually his own idea to create the One Ring leads to his own downfall.
Yeah, and that's what I'm not sure. Is he crying because he cries?
He does
He's
cry.
Is he crying because Celebrimbor is dead, or is he crying because I'm overcommitted but it's too late now. I have to go through with my ring plan, and it's gonna be my downfall.
I thought he was just crying because Celebrimbor. Like I think he did like Celebrimbor
Yeah,
in terms of
he admired him
he
at least.
admired him in terms of the fact that he was able to make these rings that can change the course of history. In fact, we get a scene later on where he's holding the hammer, and
Yes.
we know he's eventually gonna make the One Ring, but in that moment, I actually do think he's kind of like sad that his time with Celebrimbor is done. In a way, like yes, he was torturing him. Yes, he's like Sauron's a weird, complex character. I do think he was sad about the fact that he doesn't have access to this person, and I think he's also said he doesn't get to. He thinks he's doing the right thing, right? That no villain thinks they're the villain, so he thinks he's doing good to some degree, some weird degree. He might even be sad that Celebrimbor doesn't get to see the world that will be thanks to his rings, and maybe at that point Celebrimbor would have come around and been like, "Oh, we did make something beautiful." Because Sauron's messed in the head. He thinks that like when he takes over everything, everyone's gonna be like living happily ever after. And Rick and Morty have a great take on this as well, where even if they are living happily ever after, it's slavery. It's not freedom, so it's still not happy. But anyway, yeah. So I think he was sad about Celebrimbor. I don't think he.
I mean, that's actually a big topic in theology because they say you can't sin in heaven,
Yeah.
but that means you have you have no free will.
Yeah,
That
your
means you
free
have no
will is
free will.
restricted to.
So then you're actually you're like you're a slave and
That's right. No,
This is
that's
a theology question.
no. Yeah, you're right. And Christopher Hitchens. I mean, we're getting into a different realm of YouTube on this one, but yeah, Christopher Hitchens says a lot on that topic. It's pretty good. Yeah, a topic for another day, I think. Because yeah, honestly, we'll do a whole video on the mindset of Sauron. I think because I I'm still kind of confused about his motives, other than like take over the world and heal the world type of thing, as like surface level the platitudes he says. But what's his actual goal and like all that stuff? So we'll get into that. But for now, we jump back to.
Oh no, we haven't. This one, Glug enters.
Oh,
Glug
right.
enters.
Right, the end of the scene.
Are you Sauron?
Okay, in
I
this
have many
scene,
names.
by the way, this is the scene. I said I was going to mention it. This is the scene where they talk about the orcs. Sauron mentions the orcs having this bloodlust when they get into the heat of
Yes.
battle, the frenzy of battle. And then the orcs enter all timidly. Are you Sauron? What the hell? That they should not enter like that. I would never play orcs like that in Warhammer. Are you the Marines that I'm after?
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry to bother you.
Sorry to bother you, Space Marine, but are you the ones we're looking at? You're supposed to rush into that building and kill whoever's in there.
Yeah.
And look, the orcs look great, and I don't want to fault the actors because you never know if it's the actors or the directors, but something's off about these orcs. That
I mean, they're Adar orcs. Maybe they are just different when they're not.
I know they're trying to like humanize the orcs, but they're not humans. They're orc. I look, maybe there is lore to this. I don't even know. I don't even care. I don't like it. This is not orcs. You can have a moment with them where they are fighting for something, but they can't be traipsing around and being weaselly like this. Like they can't be like, oh, some of us might die, and oh, like look over, like no, they don't do that. In the moment of battle, that all of that goes away, and they just go for it. And that I don't know. They're basically humans at this point, right? They're just ugly humans or ugly elves, and I just
But I think maybe you can say that they do have that bloodlust, but they're also like cautious. Like they like bloodlust when they have an overwhelming advantage.
okay. Let me say this. I want look if I'm gonna have orcs in my army, they better be like that guy carrying the torch at Helm's Deep, where you're getting peppered by arrows from Legolas and you don't care, and then you dive headfirst into that dynamite and explode the wall, including yourself. That is the kind of orcs that I want to deal with. I want orcs that are ready to go up that ladder first and not ask questions and not say some of us might die on those ladders. I don't care. Your orcs, go. That is what I expect from my orcs. And it's just really tough watching these. Like, how did these orcs ever win a fight?
But I'm saying I think you might see the transition to that type of orc now that when Zadar's gone and Sauron's in charge.
No, you're right, but I just in that case, then like what actually? Because like they're at that point they're corrupted. So what does separate them from? Like what are they? I always envision them as being like hungry for battle in the way that we sometimes romanticize Vikings or Spartans. That's kind of my mindset when it comes to orcs, regardless of if they're corrupted or not. The corruption is just why they're there. For me, that the fighting prowess or lack thereof, but just like the energy, I think should still be present. And so I just maybe misunderstand how orcs work.
But I think Glug just might be an oddball.
He might be. He might be. But there's a lot more orcs that are kind of like him.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a lot of orcs that are just
that could be Adder's influence too.
You're right. And look, if it was more of a one-off, I'd be okay. But we've seen this a lot now with these orcs, and look, it's just not my style of orc. And like clearly, these writers wanted to humanize the orcs and not just have them be the other and something that you can kill like zombies. This is why I like zombie movies, by the way, because you don't have to think about the consequences. You don't have to think about the morals of fighting these monsters. They are just they're undead monsters that you can kill on a whim and not care.
Right, and I think that's what Star Wars did in the prequels. Like, how about they fight droids and they don't have to worry?
Yeah, because
there's no morality.
Yeah, exactly.
Just slaughtering everyone.
Exactly. Because how are you gonna have these Jedi running around and they're just like destroying people or clones? That's the other thing. Yeah. Droids and clones, because clones have another weird morality. Although clones are much closer to people, and so it makes it much harder to do that. But those clones are like mind controlled, right? Or something. And you know what? We're getting sidetracked. We're talking about the clones being maybe mind controlled on another video, because I do have questions about the clones. Okay, so yeah, so Glug comes in. Are you Sauron? And then Sauron says, "I have many names."
It's one of them. Yeah, well, it's one of them. Sauron.
That's exactly what I did. By the way, I was sitting by myself. So my wife had walked out. She's walked out episodes ago. But I was sitting by myself watching this, and I said to nobody, because you weren't there either. To nobody, I said, "Hey, is one of those names Sauron by any chance? Do you mind, like, we don't really like this Adar guy anymore. We would like to follow you again. We're sorry. No, you're orcs, damn it. Spoilers. There's a reason this character dies, and I am so happy that this character dies. He is the most weaselly garbage orc I've ever encountered, and yes, I would have killed him too if I was Sauron. I'm not gonna have weaselly orcs in my army. You know what? I gotta like do a live stream where I play like the Total War Warhammer, and I play as the orcs. I just send guys in to die. They're orcs. Like that's their job. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked with that. So yeah, Sauron likes to be cryptic and say, "I have many names," and then we cut to. What is this town? It's like a destroyed town. I forget what they actually call this town.
Polar Gear.
Pelargir. Not much has happened. Like the town is still kind of rebuilding, or like
Oh yeah. So Isildur's just sitting there staring at that dagger. He's in that like cut. He's looking at the dagger that what's her name stabbed him with.
yeah. And then there's a weird line. I mean, look, the line is fine about, um, you know, if you put a dagger in a bag, it cuts a journey short.
This is Theo. Yeah, Theo comes in. It's bad luck to pack a dagger in
Yeah,
a bag.
if
Cuts your journey
that
short.
line is that line better be in real life because that's a terrible line to write. But if it's real, if there's like a culture that has that saying, then I retract my statement. Then you can throw it in because that happens sometimes. Sometimes there's stupid sayings. I hate this saying. It's so stupid, and yet I know what it means. That's what makes me so frustrated. I know exactly what they're talking about. Who would put a dagger in a bag like loose like that? That's insane. Like,
Yeah.
I can't believe.
It was bad luck and just that's not very smart.
No, it's the stupidest thing. Honestly, if anyone ever had done that going like camping when we were younger, they'd be kicked out. Like no shot. Like that's awful. Um. Oh, did I lose you?
No, no.
Okay. Yeah. So that's just a terrible idea. And what's worse is Isildur, my least favorite character, is like fuck it. I'm gonna do it anyway.
This one, I've already been stabbed by
He
it
has
once.
he has a belt. He can just put it in his belt and be on his way. But no, I'm gonna do it anyway. Cause screw your rules, Theo. I don't play by your rules. um. He then there's like this funny moment, and I think this is meant to be a joke, cause like it so Theo says cryptically, "How do you live with it?" Obviously to the audience referring to how does Isildur live with the fact that he got his mother killed. But Isildur, and movies do this all the time, where Isildur just misunderstands and says, "I had a good healer stitch me up," referring to like the stab wound. That's got to be a joke. Like it's such an awkward
How
line.
do you live with it? I don't know.
Like because like it's exactly like imagine like
Why
I just
would I ask you that?
why would the guy that stitched you up say it in such a cryptic, "How do you live with it, Isildur?" "Oh, I had a good healer stitch me up, of course." Taps his tummy. "No, you idiot. I mean about your mom. How do you live with the fact that you killed her, you idiot?" Like, oh man, like the scene, I get what they're going for here, and they have done what I thought they might do with Arondir, but now Theo and Isildur are having that bond that like they're both struggling with their own mother's passing, and they're both dealing with it in similar manner at the moment. Isildur is starting to make a turn. Theo hasn't got there yet. Like Isildur has realized, I have done some bad things because of the baggage I was carrying. So I get what they're going for here, and I do like what they're doing with these characters. I hate Isildur, but I like what they're trying to build in terms of a character story with this guy. It's just a weird way of doing this scene. Yeah, I hope we get more with these two, but it doesn't seem like we're going to.
I've heard Nerd of the Rings speculate that Theo could end up being the undead king because everyone thinks he's going to be the Witch King, but maybe he's the king of the dead. And he like doesn't fulfill his oath to Isildur later on.
Oh, all right, that's pretty good.
So they're building a friendship here only for Theo to like not follow through, and
Hey,
Isildur to curse him.
honestly, that's actually a neat idea. Hey, like Nerd of the Rings, I mean, he's got some good takes.
Yeah, they should just bring him on as a consultant. To be honest.
They should bring a lot of these YouTubers on as consultants, and they
Yeah.
did bring on some people originally as consultants, and then they fired them. Well, they quit because they're like, you're writing nonsense. None of
Yeah.
this makes any sense. Like, I literally just came across a TikTok today where someone was talking about the fact that these characters that we're seeing here are born like thousands of years um after the rings are made, and the rings take like 300 years.
Yeah.
So like the fact that they've condensed this timeline down, it does make it hard to figure out what any of these characters could end up being other than the ones we already know, because we don't know what else they might condense. And that's I don't know how you do it differently. I think maybe they bit off more than they could chew with trying to tell this story in this scale. I think they should have maybe focused in, and that would have helped. And then they could have gotten more in line with the timelines of events. But yeah, so people are arriving. Oh, well, first I guess we got to talk about this weird scene. So
Right. And also, Isildur offers to bring Theo to Numenor, and Theo decides to stay.
right. Okay, so here's what happens. Isildur offers to bring Theo to Numenor. Theo's like, no, I've got my own journey here. And
This
then
is when Estrid enters.
and then Estrid enters, but Isildur, like the idiot that he is, doesn't look up. It's like, have you changed your mind? He literally just walked out the door. You think he walked out the door, let it close, then turned around and walked back and said, you know what? Let's go to Numenor. So
I
yeah,
was kidding.
I was just joshing you. Let's go. I want to check this place out. But yeah, then this woman enters. What's her name? Estrid.
Yeah. She's returning some rags or something.
Yeah, she's returning the.
Theo, let me borrow these rags.
Yeah. Here's some.
I don't know
rags.
if Theo wants your
Now,
rags.
look, we're joking about this, and normally, like, when there's some plot thing like this, I hate on this. I actually think this is fine because she's not here for the rags. She's actually here.
She's trying to, talk to us.
Yeah, it's like a fake out. Like, oh, I was just bringing this over. She really wanted to talk to him. Like, she just wanted something to do. And what she wants to say is that I no longer love my fiance because the time I've spent with you, where I stabbed you.
Oh, it's so funny.
I stabbed you.
They're mocking. This is being widely mocked. Everyone's calling her a thought.
It's so bad.
What a whore.
This is terrible. So her fiance, whom, yeah, so, okay, you know what? You thought he was dead because he was captured by Ents or whatever. Fine. You turned, like, you kind of had a budding romance with this guy, and yet you were still sad about your fiance. That's all fine. Your fiance is fine. You've known this person for a long time. You even say in this scene that you thought like his kindness and like being happy with him was love, but that's not what love is. It's the love is what I felt with you. And it's like, what are you talking about? You stabbed him. He then called you a traitor and put you in shackles, and then you guys fought off a giant slug thing. That was it.
Yeah.
You've had nothing, like, you've had a few moments where you almost kissed, but like,
no, okay, we know she just wants to marry up. She wants to end up in Numenor. She wants water in her house.
Right? That's it. Like, that's all I could think of. It's like, I can't believe, like, this has got to be the saddest storyline. Why did they keep her husband, or why did they keep her fiance around? If this, like, why do that? It's such a.
They don't just keep him around. He's like co-mayor with.
I know. He somehow becomes co-mayor, and it doesn't make sense. He was captured by Ents. He wasn't even a founder of this town or village. He was a dude that was part of the orcs for a bit, then tried to run away, got captured by Ents, and then he's here now. And now, she wants to work her way up. Her fiance is actually working his way up by himself. He somehow went from nothing to mayor in a week. But yeah, so she's done with the mayor of the town. She wants to become a Numenorian because they got running water and cool shit. So she's just hoping that that
Like
Isildur.
she's gonna get there, she's gonna get to Numenor, and she's gonna like ditch Theo for someone, or not Theo,
Kevin or Kemen or whatever his name is.
ditch Isildur for someone else immediately.
Oh yeah, no, she's gonna go for Kemen because that guy, he's got real power. He's not
Oh,
some.
Kemen's a prince now.
Yeah. In fact, I think in the next scene, Kemen is there and he says he like you can hear him say it that he's a prince now. So yeah, so they have a little bit of a makeout sesh.
Yeah, she reveals that, oh, my husband and I are building a home.
But as soon as
she effectively says that she actually loves Isildur, and he invites her to come back to Numenor.
Yeah, but
like,
she even
yes, that's what I'm here for. Running water.
The writers of this show, like, there's no other explanation because the way they write this, even she's like the kindness and the happiness that he brought me. I thought that's what love was. For the record, that is what love is. She then goes on to say that's not what love is because she found love with Isildur, and she doesn't elaborate. But like, he is not kind. He does not bring happiness. He's just rich. Like that's all there is. Like there's nothing else here. So I am shocked at what is going on with that character. But yeah, so Kemen arrives, like they're making out. Kemen arrives, and this Theo goes to introduce himself. I'm Theo, and this is
Theo, son of Bronwyn.
And
he's like, yeah,
Kemen does not acknowledge it at all. He's just still talking to his people, like, bring the supplies this way, do this. And then co-mayor, whatever his name is, Hagen.
Yeah.
He's like, perhaps you didn't hear. This is Theo. His mother was Bronwyn. Okay. Remember? Okay, I actually
know who that person is.
Who is that? Yeah. How does Kemen know who that is? Anyway, I said this back in season 1, where all the townspeople had fled to the elf tower to hold up there, and you and I joked about this, but I said the townspeople now have like a de facto elected Bronwyn mayor because she's like running everything, and we were joking like who, and even Waldrig's like who elected you, like where's my rations, and we were joking like he's completely right. There was like people just came here and then Bronwyn started ordering people around and they just went with it, and now it's got to the point where Bronwyn is like a name of like mythology, like this is son of Bronwyn, you show him respect. How does Hagen know who Bronwyn is?
Does Hagen know who Bronwyn is exactly?
Hagen was in a different town, captured by orcs and then captured by Ents. He doesn't know who Bronwyn is. But anyway, so
Bronwyn's a legend for the.
Yeah, no, I know, and the other thing is, I mean, you made it wasn't even a joke when you said it, but you're like, he's co-leader. Yeah, they even say he's the leader of half the colony. What the hell does that even mean? What is going on in this colony? Why is it called a colony? What is going on? Oh yeah, this is where they get this awesome line. Well, awesome is a bit of a over exaggeration, but it's like we're honoring the agreement we made with the queen. Kemen's like, agreements can change.
Yeah.
We'll build a watchtower in sight of the river. We'll use a few houses if we need to. Oh, how do these people live like this? This is a disgrace. He's so despicable. It's over the top. It's insane.
It is.
Is this like they must have told him to do? There's a take out there somewhere where he does it a bit more normal, and the director's like, cut. No. You have to be like so disgusted with this place that like these aren't people to you. These are sacks of flour around you, and you're just like, why are they piled up in such weird way? Get them out of my sight. And then even the scene where Isildur comes, so Isildur's there, and he's like, "Is that Kemen? My old pal Kemen." No, why does he react? I guess it's because like he hasn't seen anyone in a while, but he was never close with Kemen. And Kemen then decides to like do a quick fake out for no reason. just for Isildur. Like literally, Kemen sees Isildur for the first time in a month or whatever, and goes, in that moment, I'm gonna fuck with this guy. I'm gonna pretend to be cool and chill, and then just be like, screw you, I'm Prince now. So he initially goes, oh, Isildur will be your sister will be pleased. I never gave up hope. I'm so glad we found you. And that, like, he's really playing this up like he's gonna be nice to Isildur, and I actually thought that Isildur might get caught up in this, and Kemen's idea was to like kind of pit Isildur against his dad at some point. But instead this scene plays out in a really weird manner. So before we even get with Kemen's craziness, Isildur's like, we need passage for my horse and for an extra person because I'm bringing this lady with me. and then her husband walks forward, and I'm like, what is going on, Isildur? I can't believe you just got the luckiest. Like, not only are you gonna go home, and you just, the girl that you were getting along with, who has a fiance, has chosen you over him, but you then decide that now, in the middle of the town square, talking,
you're gonna announce the affair you've been having.
Yeah, like, and I don't even think it's addressed. So Hagen like walks up, looks Isildur up and down, and then Kemen then goes, no passage for low men, and then this is where it's like I said, he was just gonna fuck with Isildur, because in that moment he's like, oh, here's a perfect moment, here's a perfect way for me to start this going. Yeah, you can't bring her. And then the Isildur goes on this tirade. I survived an eruption. My sister's a guild member. My dad is captain of the Sea Guard of the Queen Regent Muriel. And that's when Kemen is like, lots changed. My father's king now. I'm a prince. And like, it's just, your father's a traitor. It's just, he just wanted to screw with Isildur. Meanwhile, Isildur's now not only like is not going to be able to bring his new girlfriend with him, but he's going to go anyway, and now he's ruined a marriage. Like,
yeah, well, but not really. They hold hands anyway.
Yeah, we'll get there. This, by the way, the whole town is watching this exchange. Again, this is weird. Like, it doesn't make sense that nobody's doing anything else and that everyone is just watching. Like, even in, I'm like looking at the original trilogy, there are moments where the entire background watches. I'm thinking like when we finally have cleared Theoden's head, and he is, he's about to kill Wormtongue, and the whole town is there, like, kind of watching that. That kind of makes sense because it's a crazy moment. Here, it's just guys talking. Like, people are supposed to be unloading the ships and stuff, and nobody's doing anything. Again, it's just like a weird, like, the scene feels weird. Like, it feels like I'm watching a show and I'm not getting like lost in it. Like, I'm just a person watching a show instead of the show feeling like there's a real town that people are living in and they have stuff to do. So yeah, I don't like any of this scene at all. The dialogue is kind of meh. The Isildur is once again the idiot that I know and hate, and I honestly, I would have. We gotta watch this show together sometime, because there are times like I make a prediction and it comes true like 2 seconds later, and I literally said to myself again out loud, no one in the room, Isildur's gonna be an idiot and screw this up. And 2 seconds later, he walks out and immediately brags to the world that he's had an affair with this lady and she's coming with him, and like, that is not how you handle the situation, Isildur. Like, even if she's allowed to go, you don't do it like this. You let her decide how they're going to talk to her fiance.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know, I don't know what's going on, but this character, he never gets it right. I don't know why they keep writing him like this. And now we have this weird standoff because there is a close up of Hagen staring down Isildur, but like nothing happens. I thought there should have been something there. Like if I were Hagen, well, okay, I'm trying to put. If I were Hagen, there'd be a lot of problems going on in this town at this point because basically this stupid Numenorian is having an affair with my wife, tried to like take her away. Then this like D-bag with one arm, who's Prince apparently, decides to be a weirdo and like start like shitting on my town. Like there would be some problems. If I'm co-mayor as well. Oh, there's gonna be problems. Oh yeah. What about the supplies you promised? No timber, no supply. Like, what the hell's going on here? So look.
And then they have the, after all, there are only trees.
Yeah. Oh my God. That
So
adding that in. Jesus.
It's definitely like, yeah, he's the industrialist.
Yeah.
And the ends are gonna.
Oh, I know. I mean, if he doesn't get killed by an end, I mean, look, there's a lot of people that need to kill Kemen, so that it's a problem. So only one person gets to do it, and for me, I kind of want it to be, someone a bit closer to him. I'm hoping it's Isildur's sister, actually, but, like right now, this town, it doesn't even make sense. So, the agreement has changed apparently. And so now the new agreement is the town.
You forgot the. I mean, I know we forgot it, but we did skip over. Because they have to like make Kevin more despicable. He threatens to kill
Oh, the horse. That's right. Yeah. Oh yeah. He's like, yeah, you threaten me again, and then these people look hungry. Maybe they'll feed on horse meat or something like that. I know it. He's this poor actor. There's no way this is his choice. He's just being told to up it every time.
He wasn't like this in season 1.
No. No, they were like, we need a worm tongue in this. Like, we need a guy to become so wretched that there's not a soul alive that can like him, and it's gonna kind of be similar to Wormtongue lusting after the sister of Aeromir, right? So, you've got a similarity there, I guess, but he doesn't even seem to care about Hermione anymore. He's just trying to be a D-bag now.
And I think they wasted. They didn't really have Isildur's sister react to Valandil getting killed because they were friends.
Yeah,
and
I know.
And the guy dies. They don't even like address it again.
Oh, I know.
Like,
I thought
like she should be confronting him. Like, what the hell happened? How come Valandil is dead?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There was a huge wasted, like, there could be a whole bunch of scenes where you're right, she can confront him. That can start to like change her mind about the fact that she's sided with these guys, because all we get the moment that she snaps is when they round up the religious people, and then she knows, oh, they're going for my dad next. She had already turned her dad in, kind of like it there should have been more buildup, and that would have been the perfect segue to get her to start seeing she's made a mistake. So that town, we'll get back to that town eventually, but like, I have issues with what Pharazôn has instructed Kemen to do and what is supposed to happen with this town. It's supposed to be a colony and like an outpost for Numenorians to get here and then branch out from there. But the way that Kemen is treating these people, like, they're the ones that are going to be building and like doing a lot of the stuff in the town. And I don't know if Kemen realizes that. And like, the demands don't really make a ton of sense in that if you over demand, they're free to just leave and they can just build a house and like live off the land themselves instead of paying timber to the Numenorians. The Numenorians have to offer stuff, and the supplies was what they were supposed to offer. But now it's changed. No timber, no supply. Well, then we'll just go do our own thing. Like it doesn't, like, you have to help these people get started and use the supplies to then get the timber for you. And so it's just a weird way of, like, this guy is just being evil for no reason, just to be evil. He's worse than Sauron. In a show with Sauron, he's the most hated character. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
yeah. So we now jump back to Galadriel. Her ruse worked, where she's like, I'll come willingly. It's me that Adar wants. Let the rest of these elves go free. I guess the orcs did that. That's weird. But like I said, there is maybe an explanation in that the orcs were told not to kill her. So they come across Adar, who is. It looks like he's praying
Yeah, he's kneeling on a rock. Yeah,
on
he might be praying.
on a rock or something, and I mean, the scene is kind of shot weirdly. So this is just a weird nitpick that hanging out with a friend of mine who went to film school has caught. I catch some of these. Why do they angle the shot? So I don't know if you caught this, but
The Dutch angles. Yeah.
yeah, they they just all of a sudden go on an angle, and it's just like, why it, and then they cut back to normal angle. Um, and then they do it another one, like, it just back and forth with these strange crooked angles. Anyway, so Adar tells the orcs to leave, and the orcs do. And this is when Galadriel's like, okay, you know what? I accept your terms. I'll help you kill. I'll do whatever you ask. We'll kill Sauron. And that's when Adar drops the line, "How do you expect to destroy Sauron without your ring?" And then this is cool framing. It's not in the scene, and then he, like, moves his hand, and it reveals he's wearing the ring. We knew he had the ring, so it's not a reveal to us, but it's still a cool reveal. And then we get this other reveal, which is the ring has, like, healed Adar.
Yeah, he looks like
like an
I
elf.
wrote Adar looks like his old self.
Yeah, he's an elf.
Yeah.
And this is another. This is a weird, like, I was known by many names, but not like when last I looked like this, I was known by another name. They won't tell us that name. That's going to be a secret because it's a meaningless name, a name that was given. Adar is a name that I earned. I actually like that. That's a fun line, and it's in keeping with Adar's character. So I do actually like the dialogue here, for the most part.
But then he gives her the ring
Yeah.
back.
So this is where I get confused.
And says that they can kill Sauron together.
Yeah. So did the ring possess him to be a good guy? Like,
Yeah, maybe it softened his heart or
'cause
something.
I'm confused what happens here.
Because remember in the last episode he says, Glug's like, I thought you loved us, and he says, I do with what's left of my heart.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the healing made his heart complete, so he had a full heart now. And now he's like,
His heart
okay, elves and orcs, we're gonna live in harmony. I'm gonna heal the rift. I'm gonna bring this country together.
Like, he's the Grinch. His heart grew 3 sizes that day. I could see what you're saying, but, like, the whole plan was one, without the ring. So if only one has the ring, then the other person's not gonna be able to fight very well. So I thought the plan was he would use the ring plus the crown himself to become super powerful. And then you're right, putting on the ring has, like, made him see the error in that way. Because the rings are giving prophecies, right? Like, I remember, the Galadriel was.
I mean, it's coming up, but this is a good point. This is where Galadriel drops the ball again. She lets Sauron pick up the crown out of nowhere. nowhere.
Yeah.
Come out of nowhere, pick up the crown. But as soon as she saw Adar getting stabbed to death, she should have grabbed that crown and then ready
I,
to
I I can't believe she didn't react and try to like stop the orcs or
or
something.
save Adar. Yeah, she could handle that.
Like she does nothing here, and we've seen Adar survive worse wounds than the initial stab. So if you could just get in there before he gets completely overwhelmed, um, you'll be okay. But yeah, so I like the dialogue, but then I get really confused. So he gives the ring back. All right, let's say that the ring has kind of like made him see the error of her ways and give the ring back. That's all fine. And I even kind of like the fact that Galadriel acknowledges I've killed a lot of orcs. How can we how are we cool? And Adar is like, I forgive you. And so it does seem like he's making a turn to try to fully establish. Now, I already thought he was doing this though. He was already trying to establish an orc colony or an orc, city, near Mount Doom, and that was already the plan. I I don't know why giving Galadriel the ring back is helpful, other than she'll be there with him to fight. Um, but
I
yeah,
don't know.
so we get Glug is now being brought back on a stretcher, because he was maybe he was stabbed by Sauron, maybe, because that's what they say. They
Yeah,
say he
and they
found
say
Sauron, and he
and
tried to
Sauron
make.
tried to make she tried to make Sauron tried to make Glug betray you, but Glug resisted.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah, right.
yeah, right. Glug already didn't like Adar. The fact that Glug went back to Sauron, though, like Sauron seems worse, and it's like Glug doesn't remember. Now maybe it's
Glug
like,
should know. Glug should know better. Adar kept lecturing like how much worse it's gonna be under Sauron.
yeah. So the fact
Uh,
that Glug, the orc that is the most cautious and spineless, was the one to
but
go back over.
but there's no way that any orc can resist Sauron.
No, I
Like
know.
it's hard to resist Sauron. So a mindless orc is not gonna
No, I
resist
know.
Sauron.
But what I will say is Adar falling for this is it's Adar, I think, is still under somewhat of the influence of the ring, and he wants to believe that Glug resisted Sauron. But like you said, that's impossible. And of all the orcs, Glug is gonna be like for sure corrupted. Like he's already not liking you, Adar. So anyway, yeah. So Glug is there, and when Adar like leans over uh to like comfort him, that's when Glug stabs him with a dagger, and very
Yeah,
similar to
he
what
says,
Arondir did.
forgive me, child. It's too late. It's never too late,
Yeah.
even for me. No, it's too late.
You're right. The way that, and that's another thing, like the way that scene is done, I think could have been a bit more emotional for Adar. It comes off a little too. No, it is too late. Yeah. Like it. I think they could have given that a bit more time. So yeah. So Adar gets stabbed, and we've seen him survive this. So
A
initially, I was
two
like,
glug.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we already we made that joke initially when Sauron was stabbed, because it's the same idea. All these knives stabbing, very Shakespearean. Um, Galadriel is frozen. Normally, she is really quick. She has her ring back, so there's nothing holding her back. She is frozen to the spot, not reacting. The crown is
It was
sitting
at
there.
that moment. It was at that moment she knew she fucked up.
Yep, exactly. Like she's standing there. Sauron approaches, picks up his crown, and is like, "Oh, Galadriel, didn't fancy seeing you here. You have something that belongs to me, I think." So yeah, so Adar's dead. Well, he's like,
Well, he says he mouse my children,
yeah, he's
and Sauron
dying. They're
says,
still stabbing him.
Sauron's like, they're not children anymore, and then
Yeah.
Glug gives the killing blow.
Yeah. Um. So now we're starting to see the orcs that I remember, and yeah. So the orcs are still stabbing him. By the way, and yeah. So Adar comes over. You're right. That's when he says, "My children, they're not children anymore." Um. So now, they all say, "Hail, hail, Lord Sauron." Galadriel's still watching, by the way, from the background. And that's when okay. I was
Does she still have the 9 at this point?
uh
She should be making a break for
yeah.
it.
So okay. This might like all these scenes have like a problem with how they are structured cuz the writers have let us see the solution and then have characters go in the wrong direction. So Galadriel's been standing here watching this unfold. I don't hate the scene, but you can't have these kind of moments when there's urgency. And I look back to like during the original trilogy. There are moments where, yeah, I'm sure characters wish they could stand around and chit chat, but like stuff's happening. And so you don't get that chit chat until afterwards. And this show, the writers haven't figured out how to make that happen because they always want these conversations to happen with antagonists to each other. So like you want a calm scene between Galadriel and Sauron, but she's here in the middle of the woods with rings that she doesn't want Sauron to have. And the writers haven't figured out how to make that work, and so they just shoehorn it in. So she's still here. She has her own ring and the 9 rings. And yeah, so I just wish they would structure this in a way that made more sense where this conversation happens after a bit of a chase or something where we see an attempt of the characters to use common sense and get away or whatever. But we get a weird line here where Galadriel's like, "This was your plan all along," and Sauron says, "Please, you think too much of me."
Which is oh
This is a
I need
Captain
to
Jack Sparrow style. Like it reminds me of where I think it's one of the characters talking to like the admiral in Pirates of the Caribbean. Was like, "Do you think he's planned it all, or is he making it up as he goes?" that's that's
He's
sort of
like,
what I
yeah, I
get.
planned for you to like force me to come to Middle Earth, even though I really didn't want to go, and to introduce me to Celebrimbor, and
Yeah, you forced me out of Numenor. I wanted to be a blacksmith.
this was your design. No, I just wanted to be a blacksmith.
Honestly, you just wrote a better.
I'm still trying to go back to Numenor to be a blacksmith,
You just
but instead, no, I have to be here.
no, you just wrote a better line. So instead of saying no, please, you think too much of me, you can say, "No, Galadriel, this was all your design," and then you can.
I just wanted to be a blacksmith.
Yeah, and so I went and I trained with Celebrimbor, and now I'm going back to Numenor, where I will now be able to show my credentials that I am a true blacksmith.